Hello and welcome to ESAT. I am Ngidi Walde with the news in brief. The Ethiopian regime, the third worst jailer of journalists in the world, continued to detain bloggers and journalists under trumped-up charges of terrorism on this World Press Freedom Day, May 3, 2017. While democracies celebrate the day, dictatorships like Ethiopia locked their young and bright minds behind bars, putting freedom of speech and of the press under a constant threat. The regime, which has no tolerance for critics and alternative views, is ranked 150th out of 180 countries in the Reporters Without Borders World Press Freedom Index. Kefle Mulat, former president of the Ethiopian Free Press Association, which has long been disbanded by the regime, says freedom of speech requires a free country. Ethiopians need to free their country so they can enjoy a free press, he said. Mulat said the Ethiopian regime, an enemy of the press, does not have the moral ground to celebrate the day. Riot Alemu, imprisoned by the regime for 2 years for simply exercising her profession, says the day is about respecting the right to think freely. Riot, who now works for ESAT, said it's about respecting humanity and human rights. She said it is about respecting the right to free thinking and free expression of ideas. She said journalists are suffering in jail in Ethiopia for the respect of these ideals. The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called for an end to the crackdown on journalists. He said journalists are voice of the voiceless. This year, the theme adopted by the UN on World Press Freedom Day is Critical Minds for Critical Times, media's role in advancing peaceful, just, and inclusive societies. Somalia's new president, Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo, is in Ethiopia on Wednesday in a much-anticipated meeting aimed at smoothing over decades of mistrust. Farmajo has been criticized for waiting 3 months before going to Addis Ababa. A report by Radio France International quoted Gerard Prunier, a French historian specializing in the Horn of Africa, as saying the Ethiopia trip is by far the most important visit abroad that President Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo will make, and it's also the most difficult. Farmajo has visited 5 other countries, including Kenya, before. Prunier told Radio France International by phone on Tuesday that Farmajo did not have the guts to go to Ethiopia first. He said since it's going to be a controversial visit with difficult circumstances and difficult dialogue, he probably postponed it until he felt it was absolutely necessary. Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo beat odds to become Somalia's 9th president in February, campaigning on a platform to defeat the Al-Shabaab armed group and improve security. The radio report said Farmajo almost did not make it to the presidency due to meddling from the Ethiopian government. Rashid Abdi, Horn of Africa director to the International Crisis Group in Nairobi, told RFI the Ethiopian government backed a different candidate, so there was speculation that the new Somali president may actually be hostile to Ethiopia, a regional country with a military presence in Somalia. Abdi said, definitely there is huge security imperative, which is how to deal with Al-Shabaab. Relations, though, weren't helped when Ethiopia pulled its troops from Somalia last October, the report said. The report said Somaliland and Yemen are also expected to be top on the agenda of discussion between the two sides. That's all I have for tonight. Thanks for watching.